first encounter with him, he was walking in our neighborhood and he came into our backyard to speak to me and my husband. And ever since, every interaction I've had with him has been the same polite, gentle spirit, humble spirit. He was just being a good neighbor, being polite and kind. And since 2008, he has served as the mayor of Terre Haute, Indiana. He's brought tremendous change and revitalized the downtown and brought new life into the city. He's a man I deeply respect. We're talking to him today about the things that feed his tummy and the things that feed his soul. Our mayor, Mayor Duke Bennett. Hey, so glad to have you here today, sir. I'm touched that you would come and be with us here at Feed.
Touch you asked.
And I'm glad. I was really quite surprised when you answered so quickly, but actually not surprised, because that's kind of the humble spirit that I've always gathered from you. And when I'm in the room with you, I don't feel like I'm in a room with someone I can't touch, if you know what I mean. But I feel like I'm in the room with a human being.
That's awful nice of you. You know, I love doing unique things like this. I think it's an opportunity to talk a little bit, but just to kind of, you know, I'm interested in where you're going with your ideas.
Yes.
So these are great exchanges for me, just to, one, see what's going on in the community. But
yes.
Obviously to be with somebody that's very passionate about what you do, and
Absolutely.
You've got a humble spirit too. So
thank you.
I think it's just important that I take time for these kinds of things.
Yes. And it's funny because when you talk about even what has led me here, being a part of the food truck community, I have a food truck called Anna's Hand Soul Food, and seeing a food truck park come to Terre Haute, and even this beautiful place we're in tonight, the station, which has become a hub for businesses in Terre Haute, Indiana. All these things, you have to be pretty proud that you've been a part of helping make happen.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes, you know, everybody has a vision. So we've been very fortunate to have a lot of people here in our community that have had a variety of visions, but how do we bring that together and accomplish things?
Yes.
And you look back now, and sometimes I think we get caught up in, there's a lot of negativity out there. You know, the world is full of that.
Yes.
And we've had so many success stories that the things you described are like a lot of people said it would never happen. Just, you know, you're just not going to make it possible. And when you look back at what's happened, kind of what's in the pipeline, those are things that make people feel like you can accomplish things in our community.
Absolutely.
And they're things that everybody can enjoy and take advantage of. You know, they're good things, good community things.
It's funny that you even say that, because I was one of those people, you know, as a native of Terre Haute, a huge family in Terre Haute, and a part of this community for a very long time. Some of the things I'm seeing happen in Terre Haute, I didn't think I'd see. If somebody would have told me 10 years ago that I would be a part of a food truck park community, I don't know what I would have thought, or that even this place would exist. So it's amazing. But really what I want to talk to you today about is kind of the heart of who you are. It's just really easy in the times we live in, like you said, to get caught up in negativity. And there's so many opinions, especially online. I'm sure we'll have a lot of opinions under this story. But there's so many opinions online about people, and we get caught up in those things, and we don't get to see the humanity of a person that is leading us. And so this is Food for the Soul, and we love food here. So
I do too.
I wanted to ask you, what are your earliest memories of just sitting down at the table for a great meal?
Wow. You know, my mom, she pretty much cooked for us every day. My dad worked in the factory, worked at Bisqueen, and he'd get home, you know, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and she'd have a hot meal on the table, you know, every evening, call the boys in, me and my brother in from outside. And she cooked a lot on a black skillet, you know.
Yes.
And I mean, a lot of stuff was made on that particular piece of the kitchen. But, you know, just, it was family time, but you also knew that she really loved us because of what she put on the table. It was always a good meal, and there was always some dessert to go with it.
Me too.
You know, her meatloaf was the best. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever been able to top
that meatloaf.
I love my meatloaf.
And you know, I almost made you meatloaf today, so I'm glad I did.
You know, sometimes it's kind of bland, or they do a little too much with it. I just like a good meatloaf, and my mom always made the best meatloaf, and we always had mashed potatoes and cream peas or corn or something. She'd mix it up a little bit, but just knowing the surprise, because we didn't always know, because I was be outside playing.
Right.
And she'd say, okay, it's time for dinner. And you go in there and you just knew it was going to be a great meal.
Yes.
And then usually on the weekends we had a little bit more elaborate, kind of a thing. But I remember that, and you never forget it.
No.
But when my mom and dad both passed a little early in life, both of them they were in their 60s, and
Wow,
so
sorry to hear that.
yeah, and I didn't get to share a lot of that with my kids. You know what I mean? We tried to do some things, but that's always just been something special for me. That's how my mom just made sure there was a hot, nutritious meal on the table every day.
One of the memories, and you just really jogged this, was of my childhood was my mother on Saturday mornings. Saturdays smelled like pancakes to me because my mom would make pancakes and we would wake up to that smell in the house. And it's just, like you said, it's just one of those things that sticks with you forever. Also, even you saying how as we go down generation to generation, that's not always the case anymore.
And I feel bad about that for everybody. I mean, families are just so stretched these days. And it wasn't like that when I was a kid. I mean, I played sports and did things, but there was a lot of family time. And it just seems like over the years that's changed a lot.
Absolutely.
And you lose that. And I think it goes to a lot of ills of our society that you don't have that family structure the way we used to. I'm not saying things are, everybody does their own way, but it's just not like it was, back in the day. And I think that goes a long way towards, and you can't get people to change, but you got to remember how important that is from your childhood especially, and hope your kids pick that up and then the grandkids, learn that. And I wish my mom and dad would have been around a little bit longer. I think that could have helped me with that. But I think about it all the time. My dad used to get up and cook breakfast sometimes to kind of let my mom off the hook, and we'd always have, fried potatoes, and, have pancakes and whatever. And he'd kind of give her a break on the breakfast thing, but it was almost like no matter who was in there doing that cooking, we just knew that we were going to enjoy good meals, I said earlier, and we were going to have family time. And to this day, there's certain foods, or if I go somewhere and I see something, like I was, not too long ago, I was at a place that had old dishes on the wall. We used to have those exact same dishes.
Yes.
We used to have a wall cabinet, it was green. I have no idea where my mom got those at, but I hadn't seen that in 20 years, 30 years.
Immediately took you back.
And immediately it's just like I'm back in my kitchen, my mom's serving me.
And I think that's important for us to know, even from our mayor, and, just that core of that family value is there, because, there's 1,000 political things that we can argue, we can have different views, but I think at the core of everything, we all are people who want to feel love and warmth.
And food brings us together.
Absolutely.
What I mean? It just does.
It does. Every time I sat at the table, with my family at the end of the day, no matter what was going on, it brought that peace, it brought that joy. And sometimes, we could even argue at the table. We could hash things out. But meeting back at that table, how does the simplicity of just sitting and talking over a great meal, or even now, when you actually, I know you're all over the place because I go to different events and I think there's 4 of you because I see you everywhere, but how does that affect your life even now?
It troubles me some that I wasn't able to do as much of that with my kids. And now that the grandkids are getting older, I've got one that's 9 and 4, 3, and 2.
Wow.
And their families are busy and they're on the run all the time and involved in a lot of things, even at that young age. And I just wish that we could do more family kinds of things. My wife just told me the other day, we got to have everybody over on Sunday and cook, because we just recently moved into a new house.
Oh, congratulations.
And thank you. And we haven't had them over yet. We moved in a month or so ago, and we want to do that. We want to kind of reestablish a new thing in a new place, and they love it when my wife Pam cooks.
Yeah.
She doesn't do it very often, but she's pretty good when we do that kind of thing.
Right.
The kids are just like, this is great. And you want to hold on to that moment, because it's gone.
It's gone.
They
so
come
quick.
over, they eat, visit a little bit, and then they got to get back to their busy lives. And I just think everybody lives in that busy world today.
Absolutely.
And the more you can do things with your family, because you don't know, life is short.
It is
very short.
It is.
You need to enjoy every moment. create those opportunities as often as you can.
Absolutely. I can relate to that so much. Me and my husband are always on the go. And even though what I do for a living is cook, I find myself ordering out and on the run when it comes to being at home. And you know, what you're saying is very centering because it makes you stop and think. Like you said, time goes by so quickly and you don't have that anymore. So guys, I'm here with the mayor, and the mayor likes hearty food, right? I heard a little rumor that he's a meat and potatoes type guy. So this is something that we have at the food truck and San Soul Food, and this is pretty regular on our menu. So I'm gonna have Mayor Bennett start kind of mashing up these potatoes. We've already boiled our potatoes and added our seasonings in. Everything will be listed in the description of the video for the recipe, guys. And so obviously as he mashes, I'm gonna add a whole stick of butter. I'm just gonna have him keep on mashing that. And so one thing I like, it's all preference. I like to get my potatoes almost soft, to almost to the point that if they weren't burning hot, you could take your hand and touch them and they would kind of fall apart, okay? So they're getting, so look, he's working good, you guys. So as you get that butter in there, the next thing that I'm gonna add is some sour cream. Now if you're in a healthy mood, this wouldn't be the dish for you, okay? But if you wanna eat something really hearty and good, ooh, it smells so good. I wish you guys could smell how good it smells. And then we are going to add cheddar and Colby Jack. And we're gonna keep on smashing that right in there. Now, I know that some people like to add a heavy cream or something like that to their potatoes. I personally don't, because oftentimes what we pair the potatoes with is already also very hearty. And we've added, so you can just kind of look. It's looking beautiful.
It's looking really
I do salt and pepper and my own little special potato seasoning, but you have to season it to taste. And one thing that I want to tell people about cooking, as you cook, taste. We're not tasting because I do this so much that I know exactly what that tastes like right now. But we're gonna keep on mashing that up. It's about ready. It's smelling good. It's looking silky. And I'm working the mayor very hard right now. So
the
again,
reward is near.
And the reward is near. So sorry that we can't share these with you guys, but we're gonna have some good potatoes in a moment. And like I said, look in the description and you'll find the recipe, okay? He's really doing a good job, guys.
They look amazing.
I am so motivated by just getting to know this part of you a little bit and hearing what you have to say. And I think one of the things that you said today that really just touched me was recognizing regret, recognizing, you know, things that go wrong. I know at the end of the day, I believe all humans, all people, we have the same experiences, no matter what backgrounds we come from, love, emotion, sorrow, great moments, low valleys. So as an ending thought, the political arena has to have very low moments. What motivates you, even through bad press, whatever people may be saying or doing, to keep going in those low moments?
Well, one thing that always comes back to me, and who knew, I mean, my mom and dad never knew I was getting involved in politics, that's
right.
for sure. I mean, that wasn't even a thought. But one time my dad told me, water off a duck's back. If somebody says something to you, just think about how that water, and I thought, well, what's he talking about? I mean, you know what I mean? Just,
right.
And then it took a little while for that to soak into me, and it'll just bounce right off. It just runs right off. Don't let it stick. And I think about that. I think about people are going to do what they do, you know?
Right.
And you've got to stay focused on whatever it is you're involved in. Politics is important because, as we mentioned earlier, even social media, I mean, people just love to attack. They love to be negative.
Yes.
And I don't let that get to me. I never have and I never will. I don't engage with that kind of, you know, and that's fine if they want to take that on. but it's about serving people. At the end of the day, while you're here on this earth, it's important that you're taking care of folks. And
Absolutely.
your own family, your neighbors. You know, my mom and dad taught me that early on. I had to go over and do the neighbors, you know, shovel the snow, cut her grass, and do all that stuff because she was an elderly woman at the time. I mean, she was older than us and she couldn't do it. And I learned to do that. I learned those household duties that my mom had me do, and I was the oldest one, so I did a lot of it, and that's fine. But it's almost like that education and all that has led me to be, you know, I'm really all about serving people. And so every day I get up, and I think about how can I make it better for my grandkids and then their kids. Because you know, some of this stuff is going to be on down the road. You know, we want to make a difference while we're here on this earth. And that's what motivates me. I just think about service to, and I know that may sound, oh yeah, he's just saying that for political reasons. It's not. I'm a God-fearing man, and I want to make sure that I'm serving properly while I'm on this earth. And so everything I do, I try to think, how can I make it better for the next folks that come along behind me?
You mentioned the one thing that I love more than food, and that's God. And I believe that about you because, like I said, that story that I told at the beginning of the interview is the truth. We used to live in the same area, and my husband and I would always just be amazed because after a storm or something, we would see you out picking up, and my husband is one of the cameramen tonight, and he's shaking his head in agreement. We would see you out picking up debris and picking up sticks and asking us, hey, has anybody come by? And service is so important to me. It's the way I've been raised. It's what I've been raised to think. And I'm just so glad. I mean, even just a girl that you, well, I guess I'm calling myself a girl, but all right, really a woman, that you don't know you were willing to come here at Food for the Soul and have this great conversation with us. And I don't know about you guys, but it has left me feeling very inspired and motivated, and I just appreciate you being here so much.
No problem. I appreciate the opportunity and wish you much success as you move forward with the things you want to do.
Thank you.
Tell everybody, it's kind of like follow your dream, you know, chase it and make it happen. If you don't try, you'll never know how successful you can be.
You heard the mayor. Follow your dream, chase it. If you don't try, you'll never know how successful you can be. And that's what I call Food for the Soul. Thank you, guys.